What's up, guys? This is Nathan, ThatAlbumReviewerGuy here, and of course, I am here to give you my top 10 albums of the year list. Now, I know I've been pretty silent over the past few months. That's because I am a lazy idiot. Just like last year, I did the same thing. I got busy during the last quarter of the year and lazy, or third of the year, whatever. Yeah, last third of the year, I'd say. I did one or two album reviews in August, and then, yeah, that's about all you heard of me. But, you know, I still want to get this list out there. Will it be 100% accurate? Probably not, because, well, I haven't heard everything, obviously, and I haven't even heard all the releases I wanted to hear, because I get lazy, and I get busy, and, that's just the way it works. But before I get this list started, I want to give a little bit of an update. Yes, this channel is going to continue next year, hopefully. I'm going to do the best I can to get all the albums I can. I really hope I don't get lazy toward the last third of the year like I have this year and last year. And I hope I don't get behind like I did my first year doing this. But I'm thinking of changing it up a little bit again. I'm not saying I'm definitely going to do this, but I might just do one bulk review a month. So, one video, all the albums that I want to review that are released in that month. And yeah, that might be how I do it, because that might be the easiest way to do it. So I don't have to do a bunch of individual videos and all that stuff. It'll basically be like the Rock Critic when he does his quickies in bulk form. Yeah, that'll probably be what I do, except I'm gonna try to do those a month. That's gonna be my goal, at least. Will that be how it works out? Who knows? But yeah. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm not on camera, my webcam is being stupid. But that happens. But that's not important. Anyway, let's get on with the list, shall we?
Dancing in the kitchen in the pale moonlight. Only care in the world is that our kids are alright. Daddy loves mama.
And we're kicking off this list with number 10, Home by Blue October. If you remember my review of this album, I said that it felt as though the band didn't really have a lot of emotion in this album compared to past albums. And while I do still think that, I'm a little more lenient of it now. And by that I mean I listened to some stuff over, and I felt as though that Justin's vocals were still pretty powerful. Maybe not as much as on albums like Foiled, or even their release before this one. But, that's just how it works. But I do think that this is still an overall solid album from Blue October, and I'm looking forward to see what they do in the future.
No one seems to care. My friends have seen the chosen one. I quest for freedom.
With number 9, we have The Astonishing by Dream Theater. Oh, this album was 2 hours long, and it took me a while to get through it, but I do think it is an overall enjoyable album. It has a fantastic rock opera, Broadway musical type atmosphere to it that I really do enjoy. And while there are some dull moments on the album, you can't exactly think otherwise, considering the fact that, well, it's 2 hours. And people today have very short attention spans due to, the internet and social media and all that crap. But that's not what we're here to talk about. But overall, Dream Theater did a great job with The Astonishing. I hope their next album isn't 2 hours long, but I hope it packs just as much of a punch, if not more of one. Number 8, we have Songs for the Late Night Drive Home by Anchor and Braille. I wasn't even planning on reviewing this album when it came out, but, I saw Rocked Review's review of it, And actually, I never even heard of Anchor and Braille. I didn't know that Stephen Christian, the lead singer, former lead singer, I guess, of Amberlin, had a side project. But, I heard this album, and I thought it was good. It's a nice alternative synth pop type thing. I don't really know what to classify it as, but it's more on the electronic side, but it also has some alternative rock elements added into it. Or maybe it's alternative rock and has some synth pop electronic elements added into it. Whatever you classify this as, it's very relaxing, very calming music, and I listen to the lead single off the album, Watch You Burn, all the time, pretty much. So, yeah, this is a solid album. Number 7, we have Dust by Tremonti. Like I said with Cauterize, it is a fantastic album from Mark Tremonti, his third album under this solo project of his, and like the first two, it delivers. Great riffs, great melodies, great vocals, all of that is in this album, and if you enjoy Alter Bridge, even Creed, then you will definitely enjoy this. Number 6, we have Crazy Eyes by Filter. And I have to say, I'm pretty surprised that all of the other reviews and even comments on my own review I've seen of this album, they were pretty negative. A lot of people seem to not care for this album. And, I guess I can see why with their previous albums such as Title of Record and Short Bus and The Amalgamate. Those albums, they're hard to beat, sure, but Filter can still make quality music, at least in my opinion. Their last album I thought was pretty solid, and this album I think is pretty good as well. Now, would I like for them to go back to form a little bit? Yeah, I suppose, but at the same time, this album was very raw, it was industrial, it was heavy, it was aggressive. I liked it. I personally thought this was a good album. And, if you disagree, that's your own opinion. And, maybe Filter will have another album like Title of Record or something like that. Maybe. Number 5, we have Fury by Sick Puppies. The band has a new singer, and kind of a new sound, but it's still recognizable as Sick Puppies, at least in the instrumental department, if you ask me. The vocals, obviously, they're going to sound different because there's a new singer. But this album had the best of both worlds from Sick Puppies. It had some softer stuff, it had some heavier stuff, and Stick to Your Guns is probably one of the catchiest Sick Puppies songs there are. It's also pretty good in terms of instrumentation and lyrics, in my opinion. I like it. And it has other songs on the album that are pretty good too, such as Where Do I Begin? Yeah, I'm blanking on names right now, but still. I mean, this is a quality album from Sick Puppies. Number 4, we have Feathers and Flesh by Avatar. 2 years ago, they came out with an album called Hail the Apocalypse, and it was close to getting on my top 10 list, but it didn't quite make the cut. Feathers and Flesh not only made the top 10 list, but even cracked the top 5. Feathers and Flesh is a pretty good album. It's a concept album. It has a book that tells the story in more detail. I did not read that, of course, but, I probably would. I might in the future. We'll see. But, yeah, Feathers and Flesh is amazing. It has so many different styles and elements, musical elements. It has a lot of different instrumentations, so many different vocal styles even. Avatar did a fantastic job with Feathers and Flesh. If you haven't heard this album, I highly recommend it. Number 3, we have California by Blink-182. Blink-182 are back. They don't have Tom DeLonge anymore, but that didn't hurt them at all with this album, in my opinion. Matt Skiba added a great dynamic to the band, and like I said in my review of the album, his voice isn't whiny like Tom DeLonge's. Not taking anything away from him, though. I enjoy older Blink-182 stuff. I also like some of Tom DeLonge's solo material, and some stuff from Angels and Airwaves, as I've said before. But yeah, this album is fantastic, with songs like Left Alone, Bored to Death, Los Angeles, Rabbit Hole, San Diego. I could go on and on. This album is great, start to finish. Yeah, there are a couple of weaker points in there, but overall it's a very solid release, and Blink-182 seem to have a bright future ahead of them, as far as I can tell. Number 2, we have Gore by Deftones. This album is not really all that heavy, but it's not really all that soft either. I mean, there are some heavier songs in it. There's a bunch of softer ones. And while I do love Chino's harsh vocals, I love his clean vocals just as much. And they shine very well on this album, as well as the rest of the band's talents. Not that they don't on previous albums, and Gore is definitely not their best album by far. No, it is not. But out of everything I've heard this year, Gore is one of the best albums to come out this year. And what can I say? You guys probably know by now that Deftones, they're one of my favorite bands. So it shouldn't be any surprise that this album is number 2. And speaking of things that shouldn't be a surprise, yeah, number 1 is Incarnate by Killswitch Engage. If you're surprised, well, what's wrong with you? You should know by now that they're my favorite band. But at the same time, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little surprised, because like I said in my review that I did with Iron Metal 222, you know, we both said that this wasn't Killswitch Engage's best work. We both compared it quite a bit to their last album, Disarm the Descent, which we both thought was better. But after more listens to this album, I've grown to appreciate it that much more. Songs like Cut Me Loose, Hate by Design, Strength of the Mind, Alone I Stand, you know, the list goes on. This album is pretty damn good. And I didn't want to be biased considering the fact that Killswitch Engage is my favorite band, but in my opinion, this is the best album that I have heard this year. Now keep in mind, I didn't hear every album that I even wanted to this year. There are some releases that I missed out on, like Alter Bridge's new album, Metallica's new album, In Flames' new album. There are more, but you know, I couldn't get to everything, and you guys know how I've been lately. Lazy. But you know, with everything that I have listened to, this is the best album that came out this year, in my opinion. And, you know, take this list for what it is, but in the end, it is my opinion. So, if you agree with my opinion, let me know. If you disagree, let me know as well. Let me know what your favorite albums of the year are. And like I said, next year, I will try not to be as lazy. I might do that new format I've been talking about. I feel like it might be easier for me. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the case, though, but we'll see how it works out. So anyway, yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and have a good rest of the year, even though there's only a couple days left. Happy New Year, and here's to an amazing 2017. That I'm Reviewer Guy, signing off.